Okay, everybody, this is Brendan with JAMAR Technologies. If it's okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know there's still some people that are going to be logging in, so I apologize if we're jumping in on you a little too early here, but this will be recorded, so if you miss any significant part of it, should be available pretty soon after it ends here to be able to watch this on our website. So let's get started here. First, I want to thank everybody for coming in and joining us. Quick introduction here. Everyone is muted, so I can't hear anyone. Hopefully, you can all hear me. If there's any questions as we go through, we don't have any, we just kind of want to keep this quick and simple, so I don't have any type of comments or chat or anything like that for this specific webinar. But if there's any immediate questions that pop up, you can email them to me. I do have my email open here, so if I see something that really jumps out at me, I'll try to answer it. Otherwise, we can put together another webinar or a question and answer situation later. So what I'm looking to do is have this STARnext software, our new software program. I just want to get into some of the general general features and ideas why we have this program, what it's all about, and how it works, just so everybody can kind of be up to date on it. But I'm not going to get too detailed in every little nitty-gritty report and all that. So, all right. So the first thing we hear when we mention STARnext to anybody is, what is it, and why do I need it? Those are the two questions that everybody asks. And the first one's the easy one. What is STARnext? Basically, this is going to be our new program. If you're familiar with us, which most of you are, you probably associate JAMAR with the TraxPro software, and that's the software that uses our tube counters and our radar counters. And JAMAR, the brand is so closely associated with TraxPro, the program, that we actually get calls all the time. People saying, "Oh, I'm having trouble with my TraxPro," or "Can you answer a question about my TraxPro?" And they mean all types of things. They mean the software, they mean the counters, whatever. It's just that those two things go so hand in hand. With STARnext, that's going to be replaced. So our goal is to have STARnext be so, ingrained in everyone's mind as far as what the JAMAR flagship program is. But basically, it is going to be the program that uses, or that is used with all of our JAMAR tube counters and all of our radar counters. So the next thing that people ask is, why STARnext? Why do I need STARnext? The real reason is the age of TraxPro. Basically, TraxPro is almost 20 years old, and we've done a really good job of keeping it current, keeping it updated. We do have our in-house software team that has always been for years ready to make updates and send out new versions. And so as far as the program goes, we've kept it pretty current. But in reality, it is old. It came out around 2000, was being developed even before that. And essentially the platform which it was designed on has hit a ceiling. So that's worrisome for us for a couple of reasons, and most of them are outside of our control, meaning if Microsoft were to make changes to their Windows program and release new Windows versions and do various updates, we no longer have the room. Like I said, we hit a ceiling. We no longer have the room to adjust to those on a broad scale, to say, hey, Windows made this adjustment, get our software team to account for that and update TraxPro. We can't do that anymore. So that's just not going to happen. So that's a big problem out of our hands. The other thing that's out of our hands is your individual city government networks, your engineering companies, your private networks, whatever you're running your programs on. If you guys do updates, we've had a good history of being able to adjust to everybody kind of personally, saying, okay, this is the trouble you're running into. Well, let's make an adjustment for that, and then kind of help you on a one-on-one scale as well. Again, even as much as we'd want to continue to do that, the technology has hit its ceiling, the platform has hit its ceiling, and then we just can't do that. So now we're in a situation where we offer a program as a flagship program that there's too much of it that's out of our control as far as the usability of it. And because of those reasons, support for TraxPro is going to end on January 1st of 2020. So that's just a few months from now, and it seems soon, I know. But the real reason for that is there's not going to be an answer, unfortunately. So when something happens, or if something happens to your TraxPro program, when you're having a trouble or difficulty, we're not going to have support because there's not really going to be a support answer. There's not going to be an update that is available to us to make that change. So kind of put it in perspective, other things that were introduced around that time in the year 2000, kind of silly here is that Nokia phone that everybody had, that hopefully no one has anymore. The original iPod came out then with the little wheel, and my son Tommy was introduced to the world in the year 2000, and later this month he's heading off to college. So if that puts it into perspective, he was not born when TraxPro was released, and he's going to be a freshman in college. So hoping that makes people kind of understand where we are as far as the age of TraxPro. The other reason for why STARnext is economic. Why do you want this program now? If TraxPro being replaced isn't enough, there's going to be the money behind it. Is we do have an upgrade discount available to until October 1st for TraxPro users. Current TraxPro users can upgrade at a discount, save $600 off the price of STARnext. So there's a benefit there to upgrading sooner than later. The other aspect of it is less time on support. When you get a better, newer, more stable program, you're going to spend less time as a user dealing with support, trying to figure things out, trying to understand the program and navigate through an older program. And you're going to spend more time on your data analysis and your actual work. And in my experience, a lot of people these days undervalue their own the value of their own time, really. And when you're spinning your wheels on something, that's costing you money. So even though we have a support structure here to help you, we'd rather everything go smooth for you. So the financial side of it is a big benefit to why you're going to need STARnext. The third point I have here for why you need STARnext is just the user experience, and some of it I kind of touched on already. The stability of the program, being able to make the upgrades and be able to continue the program within our control and adjust to the things that happen around it in the technology world. We can do that because there is no ceiling to STARnext. I shouldn't maybe say no ceiling, but I could say I look up, I don't see that ceiling. It's very far away if it exists. But there's a modern interface now with STARnext. Basically, one of the calls we got a lot was people loved working with TraxPro, but they said it's starting to look a little old. It kind of looks a little boxy and starting to show its age. And that's true. So this gives you a more modern feel, what people are used to seeing. And then, of course, like I mentioned, our routine improvements. Basically, we still have our in-house software team that can make changes on the fly and can adjust to things that organizations need and that you need, and then adjust to bigger changes outside, in the technology world. So those are really the three big reasons why you're going to need STARnext sooner than later. So now, with all that, our challenge that we had in making this program was making it new, but not too new. So what we did is behind the scenes, we developed a whole new program. We built this program from the ground up. It's not we didn't take TraxPro and try to adjust it. We started fresh. So behind the scenes, all that's happening. It's some really impressive technology. As far as the user interface is concerned, we made it a little more modern, but we still wanted to keep it familiar to you. So you'll see some aspects and say, it kind of looks like what I'm used to. So we didn't want to go too extreme, but that was our challenge, making it new, but not too new that everybody was, didn't know what to do with it. So basically we can get right into STARnext and what it does. And the short answer for that is that it does everything TraxPro can do, plus more. So that's a question we get a lot, is they say, well, is STARnext going to be able to do this? And the answer is yes. And they, well, is STARnext going to be able to do that? And the answer is yes. I've yet to come up with have someone ask me a question, or myself just playing around with the various programs. I've yet to come up with something that TraxPro can do that STARnext can't do, and do it better, easier, and faster. So that's the short answer. It's just going to be an all-around better program, but more detailed as to what it does. There's really four main things that you're going to look at STARnext doing, and one is going to be setting up your JAMAR counter. So your tube counters, your radar counters. There's a really advanced preference section in STARnext that lets you do a lot of things, but one of the things that lets you see only the products you own. So you don't have to open up the screen and see a bunch of nonsense of things you're not even working with. So that's going to streamline the process right away, just setting up. If you're familiar with our tube counters, you know there's not a lot of setup for the tube counters. A lot of that's done on the screen, but there is support for our older tube counters as well as the newer ones and updating their firmware. You can do all that through STARnext. And then the radar recorders, they get set up out in the field with the program. It's never been a super painful process, but STARnext just takes it to a whole nother level. So what I want to show you here, this is just a quick little video built in here that kind of shows you what it looks like when we set up a radar in STARnext. So if you're out in the field, you literally just click the setup button, you connect to your radar, you'll see it'll go through a connection process, and then it's going to ask you for some information. And ultimately, it's tough to see as I click through this so quickly, but the changes I make on the left side are updated on the right side on that road diagram. So really the rule of thumb is you make this look like what you're seeing in the real world. What type of road you have, what type of lane configuration, and you put that into the software, and then you're done. That radar is set up and ready to go. So that's a process that takes a couple minutes out in the field. So you mount these radar devices up, and that's how easy STARnext is going to make it for you to get set up. The next thing that you're going to know STARnext for is the downloading of the JAMAR, both tube counters and the radars. This little screen here on the left is a tube counter download example where one of the issues we ran into with TraxPro over the years was larger organizations doing a large amount of files and having to download a lot of them at a time, and it wasn't as convenient as it could have been. Now with STARnext, you're going to plug in your Apollyon tube counter, and it's going to show you every single file that's in that counter, and you're even going to be able to click, I wish I had done it here, one of these little plus signs and see individual information about the data file. So you're going to know, you're not going to have to guess and wonder where the file is and what the file is. You're going to know exactly, and then you can choose to process them all, do a batch process, you can process just the selected one. So it makes that a lot easier, not only when you're doing just single counts, but have a lot of information in your files, but also when you're doing a lot of counts. So what we could do here is I'm going to show you this, keeping with the radar example, I'm going to show you what it's like to download a radar recorder. So this would be after the study, and this is a super streamlined process. You click download, you're going to connect to that radar, and it's similar for both styles of our radars. And right away it brings up all the files that are in that radar. And you can download them all. You can download individual ones, but essentially you click it, select download, and you're good to go. The download process depends. That's why that video kind of cut short a little bit. It depends on how big the file is. So I didn't want to sit there and have us all watch a progress bar go across the screen. But that's the download process, and then within a couple of seconds you'd have your file. The third thing that STARnext is really going to do for you is allow you to analyze the data. And this is like never before. And this is something that we've always prided ourselves on with all of our equipment, is being able to show the user everything, sometimes painfully, but you'll see every pulse and axle and timestamp, every vehicle. You can determine when mistakes were made. You can correct most of them in the software. You can see what type of mistakes were made, if any mistakes were made at all. And STARnext is just going to take this to a whole nother level. So let me show you here. This is a little video. This is kind of what you'll see when you go to process a count. And this screen here, as far as analyzing your data, you're going to be able to see this is the plot data. These are individual vehicles. They're exact timestamps down to 0.4 of a millisecond. You're going to be able to look at your dead time, make adjustments with the sliding bar graph if you need to. So these are all after the fact. You're going to be able to look and see what kind of pulses you came in. Was it a clean count, or did they hit the way we expected? It's going to give you your environmental data. You're seeing your voltages and your counter temperatures throughout the count. So you're going to be able to really see a lot of things and analyze this data. The per vehicle records, that's every single vehicle, the lane, the speed, the class, exactly how we process that. So there's no doubt about what this is going to be. And like I said, you can prove to yourself and to your customers that your data is correct, and you can show them why, and you can show them how, and if it's not correct, you can go in and find the error and find out how to fix the error and find out how to prevent that error as well. And as I'm clicking through here, there's all these other options for the ADT and the percentiles and all that type of stuff. So the analysis is through the roof. What you can do with your data could be multiple webinars in its own, which we don't have time for today. So once you go through and you you analyze all your data, the fourth thing that STARnext is going to be known for is the generating of reports. We have a huge amount of standard reports in here. A lot of the TraxPro reports over the years have become industry standard, and we see them all over the place. We see them, from our customers. We see them at trade shows. We see them in magazines and publications and everything. And it's always great to see that. So all of those similar reporting options are still in STARnext, but we've also moved on to know that a lot of people like to customize this stuff. So we've made it very easy to go in and customize your own reports, your headers, your titles, so you can create things that weren't possible in TraxPro. So let me show you here. This is a little bit of going in. So we've got a file open here. If we can edit our filters, so we finish up analyzing our data and we're ready to make some reports. So what we would do is we go up to this report option here, select our standard reports, and it's going to give us a lot of reporting options. In some cases, this is going to be all you need. You're going to be done. You're just going to be ready to print this and move on. If not, there's, like you see it here, your headers and your footers. You can change your titles, your comments, and all that. This in TraxPro, this was all done outside of your report. So you would actually have to close this and go back in. With STARnext, we keep everything as much as possible self-contained right there within that file. So all these changes you need to make are all made right there. You can add any photos, and I'll show you in a little bit how we got that photo in there in the first place. So as you click through these options, again, your voltage and your temperature there, if I click that, that's going to populate at the bottom of my report. So there's just so much I can add just by simply checking and unchecking. And then, of course, there's all the correction factors, seasonal, daily factors that you can put in there based on your needs. But where it really gets interesting is when you go to print. TraxPro had this option here, which was page setup, check your margins, things like that. STARnext takes us to another level with this report designer. It opens up a whole nother, almost like a whole nother program, but it's another window here and gives you so many options. Again, too many to even go through now, but I just want to show you that it exists, where you can start customizing your columns, your reports, how they're generated, what the pages look like, what they're shown. It can get really detailed, and it's going to be really exciting for people who really want to branch out with new reports and show their ideas and their analysis in new ways. So those are really the four things that STARnext is going to be known for. Something I just want to mention briefly are the police reports we have in the software. I know there's not a lot of police departments customers on this webinar now because we're going to have some police-specific ones soon, but you don't have to be. A lot of times we get calls and they say, hey, I didn't ever look at these police reports because I'm not a police department. Well, the reality is these reports are designed to solve speeding complaints, and you don't have to be law enforcement or a police department to use these. So if you can, when you get a chance, go to our website, go to our police page, take a look at some of those. So there's a couple things. You could use them yourself as from an engineering standpoint, but if you're collaborating with your local police department, you're sharing data and reporting, this is going to be part of it. It's built into the software. Police reports, drag and drop options. These are some of the coolest things I've seen in the program. So the next thing we want to get into is how it works. So we know what the program is going to be known for, but now we want to see how it's going to do it. The first thing is we will still ship out hard copies of the program, but what we're kind of leaning towards is to download from our website for a couple of reasons. We're going to reduce materials. It's an ultra-fast download. You're going to be able to stay current on the program. You can always see what's happened, what's changed, when the last version came out, when the new version is going to come out. So you're always going to get the latest information. You download the program, the user manuals, the quick start guides. Anything you need is going to be right there on the STARnext page on our website. And that's always the place you're going to want to go for the most current versions and updates and materials. And then we're not having to send all that stuff out and create it and generate the waste and the shipping and all that kind of nonsense. So that's the first thing, how STARnext is going to work. The other thing is the familiar ribbon style format, which you probably saw in some of those videos I was showing you when I mentioned earlier that we want it to be new, but we also want it to be familiar. Part of that is what you're not necessarily what you're familiar with as far as JAMAR, but what you're familiar with in your everyday life. And that's office style controls. So as you saw when we were playing some of those videos, we've got a tab features, we've got spreadsheet format, and all of our data files are going to be in one file now, which is something it sounds like I'm quickly passing over, but I'm hoping that a lot of you are hearing this and saying, wow, this is a big deal, because in TraxPro, you used to save a file as classification. You'd say the second file as volume, another file as speed, and then you'd say, oh, I want speed in 60-minute intervals. So you'd have a second speed file. So by the end of the day, you have this folder filled with 100 TraxPro files, all really for the same data. Now, STARnext keeps everything all in one data set, one data file, all through tabs. So no matter how many reports you make and generate, it's all going to be in one place. So let me show you a little bit of that here. So what we're going to see is we're going to get another chance to see how this processes as this count goes. Once it processes, you'll see up in the top. Right now, it's kind of grayed out, but it's an axle timestamp tab because it's doing its processing. Once it's done, it automatically creates our tab for the per vehicle records. So now if I hit a bin data set, I'm going to all of a sudden create a volume report tab. So now I'm going to show all of my volume data. You can see that there. Now all I've got to do is go right back to per vehicle and select the class. And if you're familiar with TraxPro, you're familiar with the concept of file, return to per vehicle steps, and those are gone forever. And I dream about those steps, and you know, they're not there anymore, which is nice. So basically, everything's going to be in that one file. So when you save that file and you open it up later, everything is there. That's all you need to see. This is something that's really cool, the verification and the mapping. There's a couple ways to look at the verified data. Some people are going to like it. Some people are going to love it. But basically, if you're a consultant and you're doing counts for a customer, you want to be able to show them, hey, I've done what you asked me, where you asked me to do it for the duration of what you asked me to do. You're proving your work to them. And if you're the person hiring the consultant, the flip side of that is you want that information. You want to know that you're not getting bogus data. You want to know that the people you're hiring are doing the work that they need to do. So along with that, if you use the JAMAR tube counter, the Apollyon Trax Plus 2, that's going to have all built-in GPS coordinates for you. So that's going to verify all of your data automatically. You can also go in there and input verification, or excuse me, mapping information, and be able to open up your accounts based on map locations and see your files in a map format. So the two are kind of going hand in hand. So let me show you a quick look here. This screen is opening files from map view. So there's 3 files right there at one of our test locations. I'm clicking through those. I'm going to find the one that I want. I'm going to bring up some more information on that and say, yeah, this is the one I'm looking for. And I'm going to say open this count. So you can imagine if you got tons of counts all over the map, that's going to make things a lot easier to know which one you're opening. So now that I've got that one open, I can go look at my GPS information. I can see all types of different GPS coordinates, where the counters were, if they were moved around. I can narrow that down to one spot. And I could save that image, which is what we saw previously on one of the other files where I said I'd show you how to get that in there. So now we're attaching a GPS image to our file as well to go along with all of that. So now as I process this, I know I've got GPS coordinates. I've seen the GPS locations. I've attached the map to that. So again, we get to see through this file go through and get processed again. But ultimately what we're going to end up with is an opportunity to see that this data is verified. And so once I process this, you'll see data verified yes right here. So what I can do is if I go to this first cell and I say this 100 vehicles, I'd rather that be 90 vehicles. That's a crazy thing to do, but if I did that, it's going to tell me, hey, you could do this, but it's going to turn to unverified. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to say, no, I don't want to do it, and it goes back to 100 the way it was. So there's going to be some pros and cons with that. You know, there are valid reasons to update numbers in your spreadsheets. There are also invalid reasons that, sometimes they're a little suspect. Well, I'm not here to tell you how to do your job or what to do, but what we do want to do is make sure our customers know whether or not the data has been altered or changed, and this is going to give you that confidence. So the next thing we got here is we're kind of winding down a little bit here. So the wizards and the plugins in STARnext are next level stuff. If you're familiar with TracksPro, you're familiar with the headache of trying to edit schemes, make sensor layouts, design your reports. When a customer would call me and say, hey, Brendan, I'm going to call you in 5 minutes and we're going to edit this class scheme. I used to, try to run, hey, he's not at his desk, he can't take your call. We wouldn't really do that, but just to make the point that it's difficult. It wasn't fun to do. Now with the wizards, it's exciting. So let me show you, I'll show you in the next screen some wizards, but the plugins even allow you to take some third-party customization. A little more complex, you need JAMAR's help with that, but the ability is there, which it wasn't before. So it really opens up the program to some fantastic ideas and thoughts that we didn't have that you may need. So this video here is going to show a really common thing that people do is a sensor layout. Something very common is if you do a tube count and you have your L6 layout, vehicles going A to B. One of the most common things is people having their tubes backwards. The vehicles are hitting B to A. So other brands, other manufacturers, that's a recount. That's going out there and taking another day and another field technician and more supplies and redoing that. Here we're looking at that. We're going to use our analysis to determine that that was in fact what our problem is. And then we're going to go right into this layout wizard. And by the amount of time I just said that, we've just built that road. We've changed the directions and we've taken those tubes, switched them, saved them, and now we're going to process our count through there. And in that 30 seconds that it took to make that, we've just saved all the time of a recount and the supplies and the hourly rates of your field technicians and everything, all just by that. And it's just as simple as just dragging and dropping those tubes where you want them and clicking save. So people are going to love that. And all the wizards are very similar to that. The other thing we've introduced here is an online help, and we've always had help for our software. Of course, we always have our support for phone and email during our business hours, and we've had stuff on the website. But this is really one of the first times we've gotten into this, where all you got to do is click the help button, and it's going to open up this really intuitive web help option, and basically you can sort and search and go through all the chapters. We can update it very frequently, and then everybody gets the updates, and it's going to be super detailed. As I was making this video, I actually started laughing to myself because it's the most ridiculous video I've ever made. That's me clicking the help button, and that's you seeing the help screen. That's all there is to it. So I figured if people didn't understand that, but as I posted that video on here, I thought it seems unnecessary, but there it was. So the online help feature is going to be really cool. So as we wind down, we're almost finished here. We want you to be able to find out more. This is just the basics. Like I said at the beginning, there's so much that can go into this, but I just can't keep everybody here all day. There's so much more inside the program. We want to talk about this more and give more information out there. In the meantime, keep an eye on our YouTube channels. I know there's a crazy YouTube link there. It's long, but if you go to our website, jamartech.com, there's a video page and a link to the YouTube. Makes it a lot easier. Any immediate questions you have right now, again, you can email them to me. But we're going to try to keep videos going. We're going to schedule some more webinars that'll really get into the details of how this program works. So moving forward, as we wind things down, the important dates we want to remember here are October 1st, 2019 is the upgrade discount end. So current TracksPro users can currently can now upgrade to STARnext and save $600 if they do it by October 1st. So there's a big incentive to do that. The other important date to remember, January 1st, 2020, TracksPro support will end. And again, like I said at the beginning, we don't love doing that. We don't want to do that, but the reality is there's just not going to be an answer to your questions after that date. Something I want to stress, though, is this program is, as well as all of our programs, are customer influenced. We need you guys. We need your features. We get our features and our functions from your feedback, so we need your feedback. We want to hear from you. If there's a problem with the software, if there's an error, people don't hesitate to tell you what they don't like about it, but we also want to know what you do like about it, what's helping you, what you could see in there, what else you could use. Again, we have our in-house software people. We want to make it easier for you to do your job. We want to make the updates and get them out to you. That's what we do. We like doing it. We want to be considered a partner for to make your job easier. We want you to say, hey, this is something I need to do and I can't currently do this. Let me call JAMAR because they're going to make this happen for me. The other thing to remember is that the future of JAMAR is flowing through this software. Our tube counters and our radars, that's what we're known for. This is the program. For a long time, we've been talking about it's going to do this, it's going to do that. The reality is it has done that. This program has replaced TraxPro. This program is what we're doing moving forward. STARnext is the new flagship program from JAMAR. So you don't want to be this guy when you call a couple months from now or a year from now and you say, I'm having a problem with TraxPro. Someone here at JAMAR, we're all very nice, and we're all in a very nice way going to say, well, why is it that you're not using STARnext? And you're going to make that face of, I don't know, and that's where we're going to be, and it's going to be tough. So you don't want to do that. You don't be this slide, essentially. Here we've got, you probably already know your JAMAR rep. If you don't, here's a little quick look at them. I know the text could be small on this, but our reps here are more than just salespeople. They're technical. They know what's going on. They've been in the industry for a long time. It's not a bunch of used mattress salespeople here or something. Rich and Fred have been here for, I think, 15 years. I've been here for over 10 years with a little bit of time in between working for a traffic accounting consulting firm. John and Denise have been in the industry for a long time. And then Paul, good Lord, he's been here for over 20 years at this point. So we know our stuff. And again, we're partners. We want to help you. We want to walk you through your projects and get you the equipment we need. We're not just a sales team. We are technical advisors for you. And that's what we do. That's what we enjoy doing. So for immediate questions for this, if you want to email them to me, that's great. I can forward them to your salesperson or answer them myself, or at least put you in touch. Or you can always call here, our 800 number, just saying where you're from or what state you're from, and we'll get you to the one of the right 6 people that you need to talk to, and they can go over anything you need. For immediate upgrade, like I said, the existing TraxPro users can upgrade now on our website. You simply go to jamartech.com, go to the store, add STARnext. There's a promo code there. You type in the word upgrade as your promo code, and it instantly takes the $600 off the price. And that's going to be good until October 1st. And that promo code is programmed to stop working on October 2nd. So if you type it in on October 2nd, it's not going to work. So there's a huge benefit to doing that. So this is our standard contact information here. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know I went through a lot of it pretty quickly, but I hope it gives you a good idea of what the program looks like, the basic features of how it can be used, and, most importantly, you just want to get it. It is the future program. In my opinion, as I made this presentation, I started thinking, how could anybody not get this? It's a good price. We've got the discount to upgrade from TraxPro. It's going to solve a lot of problems, and it's going to help people do their jobs a lot easier. So I want to see everybody use this as much as possible. But that's about it. We'll wrap it up. If you want to call or email with questions, please feel free to do so. We can use your feedback and put together other question and answer webinars or whatever we need. So thanks everybody for sticking with us, and we will talk to you next time.